Turn up the radio and sing along. It's time for another great song. This is the Great Song Podcast.
Season's greetings and welcome once again to the Great Song Podcast. I'm Rob Alley.
I am JP Motor.
And we're here to celebrate the greatest songs in modern music history. We're going to tell you what makes them great, why we think they're awesome, and why you should too. JP, how are we doing today, man?
I'm doing outstanding. As we record this episode, we are number 11 in Cyprus.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's that?
Cyprus is a place. It's a location. It's actually the third largest island in the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay.
I started doing some Cyprus homework.
Of
Got
course.
a little sidebar.
All right.
Do you know either of the other two islands in the Mediterranean Sea that are larger than Cyprus?
I mean, is it close to Greece? Is Greece a thing?
Sicily is number one.
Okay.
Sardinia is number two.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then Cyprus.
Okay, hey.
12 to 13 hours of sunshine in July.
All right.
Which is double the half of it's about twice as much of it's double half of Northern Europe. So if you take half of Northern Europe and you double it,
Okay.
that's where we are.
Wow.
In Cyprus.
Okay. Well, listen, hey, thanks to the listeners in Cyprus for making us
Thanks,
number
guys,
11.
We know you also were where The Longest Day, the John Wayne film, was filmed in 1962.
Wow.
So, not to be confused with True Grit or Big Jake or Rooster Cogburn, but
True.
The Longest Day.
Yeah.
Well done, Cyprus. Thanks for
Wow.
keeping us on the map.
In all seriousness, like we get reports every week of where people are listening to the show and where we are on their respective, iTunes and Spotify charts. And it's astonishing. Every week we end up in these top 100, top 50.
Top 12.
Yeah, I
Number
mean,
11.
it's insane. So, in all honesty, thanks for listening. Around the world.
Thanks, world.
From Japan to Canada to Cyprus to Argentina to, I don't have the list in front of me,
Netherlands.
but it's really like we're close to 40 different countries we're in the top 100 charts in. So thanks so much for listening. It's amazing. We're worldwide, and it's all because of you.
Kind of similar to the way Jimi Hendrix is worldwide.
The guy continues
still-
to be, has a legacy that remains worldwide. Started in, we'll talk about it later.
Let's talk about it.
a little
We're
later.
doing something special this week.
That's right. We're going to do a listen through of the album Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And so what we did this last season with a Sting album, 10 Summoner's Tales. And so we've got two different versions of this for you to listen to, for you to choose. If you want to listen through with us, with the music, then we've got that version of the episode. And then if you want to listen on your own, then you can do that. And we'll have we've got a version of the episode that is just us talking, and we'll tell you when to hit play so that you can listen along in real time with us. If you want to listen at home, but put us in your ears or or on your phone or whatever. So however you want to do that, just make sure that you are listening to the episode that you want. They'll be labeled appropriately on your podcast player. Just make sure that you are right now listening to the episode that is set up the way that you want to hear it.
And there's lots of different versions out there, but we'll tell you which version of this album because there's deluxe editions and
That's right.
there's,
If you go on to and we're just using Apple Music and Spotify as the two major players in this, and you search for the album Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience, the album that you should see and the version that we're going to use will come up as the Are You Experienced Deluxe Edition.
and there'll be Purple Haze, Manic Depression, Hey Joe. There's your first three.
That's right. We'll go ahead and read you off the track list just so you have it. It's Purple Haze, Manic Depression, Hey Joe, Love or Confusion, May This Be Love, I Don't Live Today, The Wind Cries Mary, Fire, Third Stone from the Sun, Foxy Lady, Are You Experienced, Stone Free, 51st Anniversary, Highway Child, Can You See Me, Remember, and then Red House to close it out.
Wow, I'm already excited.
I know, right? Just reading the track list is exciting. It'll be a yellow cover with the Jimi Hendrix Experience across the top and Are You Experienced across the bottom with the band in the middle. We wanted to make sure that you have the right one. Originally, it was released in the UK with one track listing, and then it was released in the US with a different track listing, and then later re-released as the deluxe edition with a combination of both track lists.
And we may talk more about that as we get into it.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting. So at first I was like, why are there so many different versions of this? And then I figured out as we're doing research. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tell you 3, 2, 1, play. And when we say play, we're going to hit the play button. Or if you're listening independently on another device to the album, you're going to hit the play button. If you're on vinyl, I think you might be kind of out of luck. I'm going to recommend you go digital on this one. But we're going to hit play and we're just going to listen through. It's like we're in your living room just having a conversation about this album. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to listen to it and just appreciate its greatness.
And there may be space where we're not talking. Where we're just sitting and listening. You guys can listen along with us.
Because this is a great, great album. The debut album from the Jimi Hendrix Experience. So let's start it now. We'll kick right in here with a little Purple Haze, and we're going to listen through Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. In 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, yeah.
In your face.
In your face. Intro City right here. This is just, you know it's about to go down. That first few notes, by the way, is the bass sitting on an E octave, and then the guitar on a B flat, a tritone away. That's where you get that. Purple Haze. We're immediately going to crack into one of the greatest misheard lyrics of all time at the end of this verse.
Listen closely here. Lyrics are while I kiss the sky.
That's right.
Not while I kiss this guy.
While I kiss this guy.
Immediately, too, we're hit with the Hendrix chord, the quote-unquote Hendrix chord.
That is right. Let's talk a little bit about it.
Go ahead.
I came to know this, and a lot of people know this as the Hendrix chord. It is actually a sharp 9 chord that would be spelled, in this case, in the key of E. You'd be E, G sharp, or the third, and then a D, which would be the flat 7, and then a G natural, which you wouldn't normally find in an E major chord, but it's like it's the sharp 9 is what it is in this case. It's really the minor third, but it gets kind of played. It's a chord that you can go the flat 9 or the sharp 9, and it's either one. It's a specific shape that gets used a lot. It gets used on Purple Haze, Foxy Lady, etc. And guitar players worldwide play it. They don't usually call it sharp 9 chord. They just call it the Hendrix chord.
Yeah.
That's what you get on this.
Hendrix actually called this a love song.
Really?
Yeah. He said this is a love song, which...
I love drugs.
I love haze. No. It's number 7. Number 17 on the Rolling Stone top songs ever list. So you're coming out the gates with the number 17 song ever.
It's true. You immediately want it to be about drugs. It's not. It is. It is a love song. I've never thought about it in that context, but it's this girl's got me tripping. You know, like it's not the drugs this time. It's the girl. Yeah. So this album, and you're going to hear it all the way throughout, this album is known for its use of psychedelia in its mixing and approach. And so a lot of the engineering and a lot of the mixing was done to intentionally make use of, albums hadn't been being made in stereo that long. So there's a lot of left and right weird stuff. There's a lot of front to back stuff where lyrics will kind of be in the background and guitars will be moving all over the place, drums and bass going all over the place. It's intentionally weird, and we're going to hear a lot of that.
Is this song in 3/4?
Yeah.
6/8?
Yeah,
okay.
It's 3/4. You could call it 6/8 but it really feels like 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm Jimi Hendrix, here to talk to you about bipolar disorder.
This kind of highlights the Mitch Mitchell jazz-style drumming in the 3/4. We won't technically do a Meet the Band section.
That's right.
So we'll just touch on some band members as we go through.
Yeah. This is a cool song. There's a couple songs on here that are, everybody knows a handful of Hendrix songs. This is one that is maybe on that second level, I think, that not everybody knows. But this is one of my favorite songs of his that I feel like is really a style that still kind of only belongs to him. Like a lot of his stuff became rock templates for other band. You know what I mean? Like, but this one and another song or two on this album are in a style that is still kind of unique to Jimmy, that other people didn't carry on unless they're doing like tributes to Jimmy, that kind of stuff.
Some pretty neat covers on this one. Seal's got a pretty good one, and Jeff Beck's got a pretty good one. Obviously, Jeff Beck could pull this off because he's kind of weird too. But.
Yeah, King's X also has a great cover of this.
I've not heard that.
They did it live at Woodstock 94, must have been, and put it as a bonus track on one of their albums. I'm surprised you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's solid.
As we speak on Woodstock, as we record this, they're doing a 50th anniversary of Woodstock this year.
True. Jimi Hendrix, a.k.a. James Marshall Hendrix, a.k.a. Johnny Allen Hendrix. Born Johnny Allen Hendrix, November 27th, 1942. Passed away in 1970. He was really only in prominence for 4 years, put out 3 albums, and living forever. Just crazy. I love the bounciness of this song. It's really different. It's rock and roll, but it's different. And from here on out, Mitch Mitchell is just basically soloing on the drums.
Yeah. Did you hear how he became the drummer for them?
No.
He edged out a guy named Ansley Dunsbar with a flip of a coin. Like,
No
they
kidding.
came down to this to Mitch Mitchell and Dunbar, and they're like, well, let's flip a coin.
Wow.
And he won the coin toss.
Jeez. I don't know what's worse, being the 5th Beatle or being the guy that lost in a coin toss to Mitch Mitchell.
Flip. Mitch Mitchell was in a band, too, called Dirty Mac. I don't know if you looked up Dirty Mac. I didn't either till this, too much, but it's John Lennon, Eric Clapton on guitar, Keith Richards on bass, and Mitch Mitchell on drums. Never even heard it till I started. I know. They have a song called Your Blues. Look it up. It's pretty cool.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Random, weird symbol. Like, I have no idea why that's in there like that. Yeah, let's mellow it out a little bit, man.
Okay. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe. I did want to mention the guitar solo on Manic Depression starts out with some, hang on, I'm feeling it. I'll talk about it later. He does it again later. Where is he going with that gun in his hand? I got a bad feeling about this.
This was Hendrix's first single.
Yeah, so what happened is Hendrix is born in Seattle, Washington. He's a U.S. player, but all his stuff originated in the U.K. He moved to England after spending some time in Tennessee and playing some R&B circuits and that kind of stuff. He moved to England, and his first 3 or 4 songs came out as singles first before this album came out. So the UK version of this song, of this album, Are You Experienced, doesn't have Purple Haze, doesn't have Hey Joe, doesn't have something else. And the US version does, because they hadn't been released as singles here in the US. So there's a different track listing for the two. That's why we're going with the deluxe version, because it combined everything from those. It's not like necessarily a later, after somebody passes now, you'll get deluxe editions that have unreleased tracks, and it's not necessarily that. It's just got the added in back songs that weren't on the original UK release all in one thing. So, I'm Jimi Hendrix, here to talk to you about attempted domestic murder. If you like attempted domestic murder, you're going to love this song.
He actually didn't write this song. It was written by a guy named Billy Roberts,
okay,
who was an opening act for the Steve Miller Band, and then Santana.
Okay.
He was pretty much recognized at the Bill Graham festivals. Not Billy Graham.
Not Billy Graham, yeah.
Different Bill Graham that made the Fillmore and Winterland Arena popular.
Awesome. Boom, boom, boom. Great riff. Let's talk about the Circle of Fifths while we still have some time in this song. So the Circle of Fifths is a musical term. If you think of a circle, the strongest way to get from one chord to another is by a fifth. It creates what's called it's a certain cadence, a strong cadence that makes your ear know what's coming next. And so in this, we've got C, G, D, A, E. And those are all a fifth apart. And so it's a really strong chord progression that each chord tells you what the next chord is going to be. Your ear just kind of
and
leans
they're major
into
chords.
It. And they're major chords,
so
which is unusual. If you were in the key of E, you really, it's outside the key of E, but it creates a really strong chord progression. And then they run that little riff underneath it. Oh, I just love it so much. This song is about as straightforward a mix as there is on this album. There's not much weirdness or, overuse of effects on this album. Gosh, I just love that riff every single time. I'm like, yeah, man.
Yeah, when they wrote that song, when Billy Roberts wrote that song, it was the same progression that him and his girlfriend had on another song called Baby Please Don't Go to Town. So that revolved around the circle of fifths. So,
and there we go.
How about that? Love or confusion.
Now we're going to get into some weirdness. This is couple songs on here that are just kind of him strumming his guitar. They're not really riff based. And you hear it. There is weirdness in the vocals, man.
He's way back in a cave.
He sounds like he's singing from another room. There's a lot of cool panning stuff in this mix, stuff going left to right, guitar slides going right to left. Lead vocals are panned hard left on this one, but the reverb from the vocals is panned hard right. So I highly recommend, I hope you're listening. I should have said this already. I hope you're listening in headphones. That's the best way to experience this album. But on this song, the vocals are panned all the way to the left side, and then on the right side, you only get the reverb from the vocals. It's really interesting. Same kind of thought in line. He's got the line in Purple Haze about, is it tomorrow or just the end of time? He has a lot of those kind of questions. Is this love or confusion? You know what I mean? It's kind of just interesting sounds. So a lot of the stuff that Jimmy did as a player has become, everybody does it. I don't think there's probably a rock and roll guitar player alive now who isn't influenced by Jimmy directly or indirectly. It's just the stuff that he did became the stuff that you do as a rock guitar player. It's like, he was really heavy into effects and his use of, delay and octaves. He'll use octaves while he's soloing, above, an octave above the notes that he's playing, from a pedal effect. And his use of he was kind of the first major guitarist to make feedback his friend. You know what I mean? Feedback is that thing you get where you're standing in front of an amp, or if somebody's got a microphone and they kind of point it toward a speaker, it starts what's called a feedback loop, and it just creates this screaming sound. He took that sound and made it work for him, and was kind of the first to use it with some artistry as part of his playing, as opposed to something unwanted. And, Lord knows, so many bands have done that since afterward, use it to their advantage. But so much of that stuff that he did, you don't even think about now. You just think, I'm playing rock and roll. But a lot of it has been influenced by, you're either influenced by Jimmy directly or you're influenced by somebody who was influenced by Jimmy.
It's a good way to put it. And he gets all kinds of credit for his soloing and stuff, but he's a magnificent rhythm guitar player too.
Yeah, got some
stuff he does with
his clean stuff and his rhythm, just ideas, got some just phenomenal stuff. We got another question here coming up here. We got
some more guitar weirdness too.
Some more guitar weirdness. Enjoy it. Eddie Kramer on the mix for this album. Chaz Chandler on production, who was also Jimmy's manager / roommate / songwriting partner.
Did you hear how he became his manager?
No.
So Jimmy got discovered by Keith Richards' girlfriend, Linda Keith, at Cafe Wah.
Okay.
And she went to Andrew Oog, who was the Stones manager, and was like, you need to pick this guy up. And he rejected him, said no. And so Chaz Chandler, who was leaving the Animals, picked him up. So I bet old Andrew kicked himself for a while there.
There's always that person in somebody's story. It seems like the person
Could have been
almost was connected. Yeah,
kind of like the drummer.
Yeah. I like the Mitch Mitchell's got his snares turned off on this song, so that kind of march beat you're hearing normally would be a snare drum, but in this case, if you're not a drummer, the snare drum is the one that gives that, and it's got snares on the side of it, little wires that are called snares, and you can flip a button on the side and it'll turn those off. It doesn't happen very often, but it's mostly used for when you're changing the drum head. Really, you have to take the snares off because they're very tight.
Or when you're in church and the feedback is making the snare vibrate.
Yes.
And the pastor's like, go flip off the snare.
Exactly.
To keep it from
Turn
making
the
a
snares
noise.
off. Yep, exactly. So this song, Mitch is rocking along without the snares on. It's so pleasant. Like, I don't know. I like this song a lot. It's very pleasant. It's still kind of a continuation of the lyrical theme from the previous song, really. It's kind of the first song that makes me feel like maybe Jimmy's going to be okay. Like the first few songs, I'm like, I'm kind of worried about Jimmy, you guys. I don't really know him yet. He's brand new, but I'm kind of worried about him. I think there's definitely a tambourine mounted to the hi-hat on this song where he clicks down the hi-hat and you get a tambourine on it. And I was watching some behind-the-scenes stuff on it, and they said it was a tambourine. I think what we're also hearing on the cymbals, you hear ksh, and it continues forever with this kind of sizzly sound. I think what we're hearing there is a rivet cymbal. It's like a big ride cymbal, but it's got holes drilled in it all the way around the edges, and then they put rivets in them that you would find, in jeans or whatever. And so that when you strike it, those rivets just sizzle forever.
For those of y'all that thought he was coming down off the trip of the acid, this is him coming down.
Yeah.
Like, this is him chilling out.
Right.
But he's about to
do it again. We're about to be worried about Jimmy again.
This song's actually dedicated to American Indians.
Is it really?
Yeah, because Jimmy's got some Cherokee heritage.
Yeah.
So this is his dedication to the American Indians.
Oh, wow. Now I don't know what to think about that. Well, he's depressed again. I don't know.
There's a guitar part in here, too, that where he uses the manual wah effect. This was before the wah pedal was actually popular.
Yeah.
So there's a manual wah effect in here that he does.
Is that where he does the same thing on Voodoo Child where it's basically just switching his pickup selectors?
Yep, you'll hear it here in a minute. This is a song that they considered more gothic rock than his psychedelic stuff. It's kind of more despair rock.
Yeah. I tell you what, I feel like I love this song. I don't know, I really love this song. I feel like this song is peak Jimmy. Like it's another one of those that's kind of the B level as far as what people know of his. But as far as his uniqueness, I feel like songs like this one and like Manic Depression really showcase his creativity as well as anything else. It's so different. Nobody's doing this now. You know what I'm saying? This is still uniquely Jimmy. It's got those kind of bouncy beats, and then it's like goes back to straight rock. It's kind of all over the place, but it does its thing, On the chorus, when they get back to the "I Don't Live Today" chorus, you'll hear a technique on the strings on the guitar where he's holding two strings at the top down and then bending the third string while holding those top two strings down. And it gives almost an effect of like a steel guitar, That's cool. I love that. Kenny Wayne Shepherd Band has a great cover of this on their Live On album, I think it is.
Interesting. We haven't talked much about David Noel Redding, the bass player.
Yeah, let's talk about him.
It was actually a guitar player that they had to basically show how to play bass for this album. He was in a band called Fat Mattress and the Noel Redding Band with the Thin Lizzy guitar player Eric Bell, and he always uses a pick every time. So
So this end is just a free-for-all. This ending section is the instruments kind of duck in and out occasionally while Jimmy's talking in the left side. If you're listening closely, and I mean very closely, in the final moments of the song, this is actually where you'll hear him say, "Are you experienced?" as the song fades for the first time.
Which is the title of the album.
Yeah. But you got to be really listening. Such weird stuff, man, in this mix. This is a depressing as heck song. I mean, really. Man.
Fades.
So, like, I have this album, and if somebody can tell me who these people are, I'll send you $100. I have this album called Pile by a band called Load. Lode. I think they're local to Chattanooga or were. And it's basically they just got high and went in the studio and recorded. They just recorded the song of like themselves laughing, like with an octave down on their vocals and acoustic guitars. And it came to me by a friend of a friend who like found it. You know what I'm saying? But it's honest to goodness one of my favorite things in life. I feel like that's kind of what happened at the end of I Don't Live Today. This is a classic.
All right, another big hit, Wind Cries Mary.
Yeah.
Based on the middle name of Kathy Inchingham's. Her middle name was Mary, his then girlfriend. She said that they just had a fight when he wrote this, but Hendrix says it's multiple sources. So she's like, this song's about me when we had a fight, and he's like, no, it's like, about multiple.
You're so vain.
Yeah, exactly.
You probably think this song is about you.
It's cool the way they recorded this one, too. They had about 20 minutes of studio time. Did you read that? After they did Fire.
Yeah.
And he's like, he played it through once for Mitch, the drummer, and Noel, and the third time they recorded it.
That was it.
And here you go.
He overdubbed a couple other guitars on it, and that was it. They had written it the night before.
Yep.
And literally their demo is what you're hearing now. Their first pass at it is what you're hearing. He does some cool hammer-ons in this riff, especially when it doubles this guitar thing right here. Those little hammer-ons. He's moving up a chord, but the low note of the chord, what becomes the third, starts as the second, and he hammers it on to make the third. Same kind of thing he's doing there in the solo. Beautiful solo.
I did want to throw one other Fat Mattress story in there, which was Noel Redding's band.
I want all the Fat Mattress stories.
They actually opened for Hendrix a lot of times, which means he would play 2 full sets.
Yeah.
Like his band would go on, and he would play guitar, and then he would be the bass player in the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Love that.
Which I think is super cool.
I once saw, this is not in the same scale, but do you remember a band called Sunday Drive?
Vaguely.
They were a Christian band. They had one like you can't call it a hit. They just had a song on the radio. And I went to a concert, and it was Sunday Drive opened up for Jackie Velasquez, who opened up for Clay Cross. I might have those last two, crossed. But Sunday Drive was the band for all three.
Oh, that's cool.
They played as the band for all three. I always thought that was awesome.
Nothing says Hendrix like Clay Cross and Jackie Velasquez.
Love it.
There's people that are big Jimi Hendrix fans that are listening to this is like, are you talking about Sunday Drive over the Wind Cries Mary?
Well, Mary Magdalene.
That's right.
Famously. Did you know Jimi Hendrix was in the Army as a paratrooper?
Yes.
Wow. That's crazy. For like a year. Some tasty bass notes you can get in there if you're on headphones. Go for it, Noel Redding. Okay, shake them out, guys.
That's right, guys.
Shake them out.
Get ready.
This is coming.
Kick you in the teeth.
Whew. This is fire. This song could not have a more appropriate title because it is hot fire. I'll tell you what, There's not a better rock song to be found anywhere than this. They do not come better than this, in my opinion.
There are covers of this, but they're nothing compared to this.
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers have one, but don't even try to.
No.
Don't put it on.
The best cover of this that I know of is Tia Carrera's band, Crucial Taunt, in the movie Wayne's World. They have a decent cover of this.
I would have to go Chattanooga Blues, early 2000s.
I mean, what do you say about it? Just a killer riff.
Lyrics.
Killer feel. Yeah, lyrics are awesome.
You know the whole Move Over Rover? You know the story about that?
No.
It's actual. He was at Noel Redding's mom's house and asked if he could warm himself by her fireplace. And they had a big Great Dane
Right
dog.
here, take a listen.
There you go.
Okay, so finish story. They're at Noel's mom's house.
Yeah.
And he's asking the dog to move.
Yep, ask the dog to move. Great Dane. And he's like, move over, Rover, and let Jimmy take over.
Wow.
And there you go.
And that
let
became
me
the
stand
song?
next to your fire.
Wow.
And yeah, like the story.
That's awesome.
It happened. And he's like, let's write a song about it.
That's outstanding.
Boom.
The drums on this song are so killer. Like, Mitch Mitchell is a little bit busy.
Yeah, all
you know
the
what I
time.
mean? All the time. If he was playing today, you'd be like, dude, bro, you're get in the pocket. You know what I mean? Like, but this song, perfect. Just enough extra ghost notes, that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's a 1 and then a 5 minor on the chorus. Interesting.
All you bass players that like to play chromatically.
Yeah. Here we're going up a key, and then we're going to go right back down. Why not? Jimmy says several times over the course of this album that he won't do you no harm. He
Won't hurt
wants,
you.
Yeah, he wants you to know that.
Then he's going to shoot you in the face.
Exactly. Yeah. Just don't cheat on him.
That's
you know?
right.
All right, now he's bringing it back down, though. This is about to get into some chill vibes here. Third Stone from the Sun.
Everybody's favorite TV show, right? That's Third Rock.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, John Lithgow.
That's right.
Should have done some Third Rock from the Sun. Not to
Homework.
be confused with Third Rock from the Sun by Joe Diffie. Welcome to Earth, Third Rock from the Sun.
It's mainly instrumental here.
Yeah.
Got this weird intro part, some sliding major ninths.
That's right, like an octave melody.
Yep.
You're going to hear some weird voices that are slowed down. In some cases, maybe reversed, but it's Jimmy. Don't fear, it's just Jimmy and Chaz Chandler having their. Basically, this song is from the viewpoint of aliens observing Earth, and the voices that you hear are Jimmy and Chaz Chandler having a like alien NASA conversation about what they're seeing, and in the end, the most intelligent life they find on Earth is chickens. I kid you not. And they just blow the earth up. That's what's happening in this song.
Kind of the Wes Montgomery style.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, this octave thing that you're hearing is, very Wes Montgomery. Wes Montgomery, famous jazz guitarist, one of the most incredible guitarists to ever live. But mostly, man, we're just grooving here.
Noel Redding kind of holds this song together.
True.
Because Mitch just gets kind of crazy on drums, and obviously
It's really the same bass line as Fire. It's the same bass line we just left on Fire.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Here's those weird speaking parts.
Yeah.
Did you hear what Jaco Pastorius said about this song? He said it's the most influential song on jazz ever. And that's from Jaco Pastorius.
Weird. So
Yeah.
Jaco Pastorius is one of the most well-respected jazz bassists of all time, like progressive jazz. He was in Weather Report and just an insane player. That's a weird claim to make. That's a very weird claim to make. Maybe
It's a little bit jazz, but it's not like classic jazz. It's
no.
like-
So maybe he's talking about as something that allowed jazz to progress in this direction. Maybe.
Yep.
Now here we go.
This is
There's
jazz.
a jazz groove. Maybe I mean I guess so. Maybe as a
This is jazz.
Maybe as a nudge toward progressive, psychedelic jazz. The kind of stuff that Jocko did.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, I think, in season 1, but it's worth noting that Jimmy lost the Best New Artist Grammy to Jose Feliciano, the guy who did Feliz Navidad.
The blind guy.
He just wants to wish you a Merry Christmas,
Got some weird things here with the switch arm and the vibrato, the switch and the whammy bar.
Whammy bar, yeah.
Vibrato arm, if you want to get technical.
Doom, 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 doom.
Obviously not playing with a click here, everyone. They kind of changed tempos a little bit.
Yeah, this was a different era of recording, It's all recorded at once with some overdubs, but, your basic tracks are all recorded at once. And, no click. It's just, it's raw. It really is. You hear stick clicks and stuff on the drums, which you would never hear now. They would go in and take that out, replace it with something that sounded amazing, some sample. Weird stuff here.
There's all kinds of covers of this. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Santana, Dick Dale, Pat Metheny does one, Government Mule, Gary Clark Jr. There's tons.
See, your cackling hen. He ends this, I don't know if you can make it out, but he ends this with a line about you'll never hear surf music again, which they say is actually a reference to Dick Dale, who you just referenced. Yeah, that he was a fan, and it was kind of a tip of the hat to Dick Dale, famous surf guitarist. I guess smoke them if you got them. I mean, I don't know. This is one of those kind of songs that you can just kind of get lost in, though. It's so weird and so out there, but yet it's peaceful. There's a lot of weird dissonance happening, and you know what I mean? But if you can just kind of allow it to wash over you, then you can just kind of get lost in it, I can imagine, I've never done drugs in my life, but I can imagine
spinning around the room.
If you were in a mind altered state, that you could get to a pretty neat place with this song, I imagine.
As we record this, we have our lava lamp going and our strobe light.
We're trying our best.
We're trying to get in the mood.
Listen, we don't get high, but we're trying our best.
Jimi Hendrix is left-handed, for those of y'all that don't know.
Yeah.
Plays a right-handed guitar upside down.
Upside down.
Left-handed.
Not strung upside down, just flipped upside
around.
down. Yeah. So, and he's, you'll see people today now playing with a backwards headstock as kind of a tribute to him, but he didn't play with a backwards headstock. He just flipped a guitar upside down.
One of my favorite guitar players ever, Dave Passmore, Smokin' Dave, who we used his guitar cord for a while there. He plays the same way.
So this is some of that use of intentional feedback and just strangeness. It's not uncommon to hear that now. At the time, this was like, And Jimmy didn't find a big audience in the U.S. right away. He did some, he had done some touring as backing other artists as a guitarist and that kind of thing. But really his initial success was in the UK. He did some touring with the Monkees. I think we may have mentioned this before that, initially he did a few shows with the Monkees, but they weren't there to see him at that point. They were there to see the Monkees, and he kind of got, actually this song, they would chant, all the girls in the crowd would chant Foxy Davy because they wanted to see Davy Jones from the Monkees. So Jimmy got tired of it and left the tour. But
those of y'all that were ready for a radio hit, we're back.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Give me something I can latch on to.
Do you automatically think of Wayne's World every time?
Absolutely, every single time.
If you don't, you're wrong.
Yeah.
This was the Garth scene.
Wayne's World, this song was my first experience with Hendrix because of Wayne's World, which came out when I was like 10. It's from the scene where they're at the donut shop and Garth is imagining going to get this, this beautiful girl that works there. Kind of goes into a dream fantasy with the song. It's amazing.
This is like classic Hendrix because there's the feedback and the vibrato there at the beginning, and then the Hendrix chord.
That tone. Playing a Fender Strat.
Yeah.
Who do you think is there a more iconic person that is tied to a particular guitar? You think Jimmy, you think the Strat, right?
B.B. King, Lucille.
Yes.
And probably Clapton, Black Strat.
Yeah. And maybe Eddie Van Halen, the red and white black stripe.
Yeah, duh. That's a good one. $153 on the Rolling Stones greatest songs of all time list. 153.
Foxy Lady?
Yep. But it only peaked at 67 on the Billboard.
Huh.
Which I thought would have been a lot higher. But.
Yeah. But I guess that, at the time, this was heavy,
That's true.
So probably a lot of people weren't quite ready for this yet.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Michael J. Fox on
That's right.
Back to the Future.
Their kids are going to love it. So at the 1967 Monterey Pop Festival, which was kind of Jimmy's kind of big break in America, he came on after The Who, and Pete Townsend smashed his guitar at the end of The Who's set, and then Jimmy followed with his famed performance in which he set his guitar on fire and just gets down on his knees and watches it burns like, come on. Not just with his playing, like with, match it, like actual flames, set his guitar on fire.
Like literal fire.
Yeah.
If you don't twitch when he hits that chord, like with your left eye.
That's so good. No, I groove. I do make funny faces. I'm just looking at some Jimi Hendrix facts from songfacts.com. Sometimes these don't all pan out, but they're fun. It says playing with the Rockin' Kings, he played his first gig at a National Guard armory, and they earned 35 cents each. Here's some backwards drums we got going on here.
Yeah, Jimmy played drums on part of this song.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He wanted it looped, but they couldn't get the loop right.
Huh.
So. One chord, kind of drone-like all the way through. Kind of that Indian classical music feel.
Happens a lot in psychedelic rock and psychedelic music in general. It kind of gives you a chance to zone out. It's just this drone, and you can, So you've got reverse snare drum and cymbals with regular, regular time drums over the top of it. So this is the title track. Of all the songs, I don't know that I would have, made this one the title track, but what do I know?
He had to pick a question. He's got lots of questions. So.
Yeah. And he says, even in the song, not necessarily stoned. He's saying, but beautiful is what he says. I'm pretty sure he meant stone, Although we're entering into the portion of this album that is less depressed Jimmy and more confident Jimmy. A lot of the songs on the back half of this are him basically being like, I'm awesome, don't try to tie me down. So maybe he's talking about, have you experienced me yet?
So we mentioned the title track, the cover on this, pretty iconic cover. The guy that did the cover, he's like, he did a lot of different photo shoots, but he's like, the one thing I want to go with is every face has to be visible. Like, he's like, I want every single face to be visible in it. So if you'll notice, obviously it's the Jimi Hendrix Experience, so he's the focal point, but he didn't want to leave out the other two.
I'm sure they appreciated that. So here we've got a full backwards guitar solo. The whole thing is he played it, and then if you really want to hear it, how it came out, then you should grab this on vinyl and play it backwards.
Did 4 takes of this and use the last one on the backwards solo.
He likes to laugh a lot. Like he kind of chuckles often in his songs, you know. I want to take you home. Like,
that's his Michael Jackson hiccup. Is his laugh.
Yes. Big influence on Kim Walker Smith. Such cool sounds. Like this is not a big deal now, you know, but at the time it was really trippy.
About to jump into Jeff Beck's favorite song ever.
Really? Ever?
Yeah, ever.
Stone
His number
Free.
1 favorite song. A little countercultural anthem here.
Yeah. Cool tone. That's a Strat. You know Strat when you hear it. Little cowbell.
That was overdubbed, but this whole song was recorded in an hour. The only overdubs were that cowbell part and a couple Hendrix overdubs.
Okay. Kind of has a lowrider kind of groove.
It does.
You know,
That's
wouldn't
right.
shock me to hear. Bam, 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 bam.
It's the first bass line that Noel Redding learned, as he was a guitar player that
Yeah.
they taught to play bass. So this was the first.
Another fairly straightforward mix. There's been a lot of weird stuff, but this one's pretty straightforward. And you can hear influence on a lot of different people in this track. You like songs like this lived for a long time, you know, stylistically. If you could go back and live in this era, would you, just for the music? For the music to be fresh?
Like forever, or is it like a visit?
Well, I would definitely go visit.
Yeah.
If you could have the choice to give up your iPhone. Well, you carry a flip phone.
I don't care about the technology part.
If you could give up the things of this present age and go live in the late 60s, early 70s.
I would, and I would take all the knowledge I have now, and I would show other musicians, like, I came up with this amazing riff.
Right.
We're going to call it Purple Haze.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Wouldn't work. Wouldn't work.
Yeah.
You'd be like, dude, check this out. I invented it. It's called two-hand tapping,
Yeah.
hammer-ons.
Be like, so
Wouldn't work.
weird.
We're not the right people for it.
No, we're not. I don't look cool enough. I was like, I'm going to put this do-rag around this scarf around my head and grow a fro and do this song. I couldn't pull it off.
Nope.
We're not going to talk over the solo because it's a good one. Do you smile in this song? Are you like a side to side head smiler?
Probably shouldn't. It should probably be more of like a angsty, like, Mom, just leave me alone and let me ride my motorcycle and be what I want. You know what I mean? Like, I think smiling is probably not cool for it.
That's why we wouldn't make it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, we would be smiling. We would be playing music like this, but still with the guitars way up high like the Beatles. You know what I mean? Just rocking back and forth.
In a tie.
Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. Let's get weird again for 5 seconds and then fade it out.
Fade it super quick. Yeah. I don't know what this is 51st anniversary of or what it's in reference to. Do you know?
No. There's the story in the song, but I haven't really grasped what it is. He talks about it's a couple's like 50th anniversary, and then it's a 30th anniversary, and then it's a 20th anniversary. I don't know.
Kind of a mid-range, trebly sounding bass through the majority of this album.
Yeah.
It's not super, super deep. Noel plays through Sun amps.
I think this is just another song about not wanting to commit to a woman. I think as it unfolds, because he's talking about these happily married couples, and then I think basically at the end, he turns around to like, that's not going to be me, though. Not happening to me. People think Hendrix and they think rock fire, and rightly so, you know what I mean? But a lot of his stuff is just really good, clean riffs. He has some good... And they said he had to... he had some aversion to wanting to clean it up, you know what I mean? But that Chaz Chandler convinced him, either roll off the volume on your guitar or roll down the volume on your amp and clean it up a little bit on some of these and let him be sweet sounding and ballads and definitely a good call. You wouldn't want to hear this distorted,
Yeah, for a whole hour you wouldn't want to hear straight.
No.
Nasty.
Who's your favorite direct Hendrix disciple? You know what I mean? Like, you got people that you just hear and immediately go, you listen to a lot of Hendrix.
Oh, man.
Who you got?
I don't know. Who's yours?
Probably Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah,
Stevie Ray Vaughan, Joe Satriani, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. But he's a generation, he's a...
younger version.
He is
more
a
bluesy,
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
influenced. Yeah, that's good. He's a disciple of the disciple.
Right. Ain't that some shame? I want to know, was that just an inhale? Did he just really inhale there? Or was that like an inhale? Was that a puff? He does it again a couple times toward the end of this song. He's not ready to get tied down, y'all. I'm telling you. One thing I love about old recordings is like everything's not in tune.
No, they don't tune the bass. That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to.
You would never get away with it
No.
now, but it's okay for that stuff. It just has a different sound and it's fine. Now, old school wrestling fans may recognize this riff as part of the opening, as part of the use in the theme music for the NWO.
Highway Child spells child the same way as Voodoo Child.
Yeah. Chile, not to be confused with Chile.
Highway Chili.
So we're in a swing groove here, da 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 da, and then we're going to go straight to straight rock before the delivery of the hook. Right here, we're going to straighten it out to rock. Yeah.
I like that.
Ba-bow. And then here we've got actually everything kind of goes straight swing at different points, but it's most noticeable in the drums, but bass and guitar are doing it too.
This is one of my less popular Hendrix songs that I like.
Yeah.
I think this is him.
Yeah, I don't care much for the verses, whatever. But by the time it leads up to that hook, baller. Like this feels like just peak Hendrix. And then they hit this. So he's doing this technique. I almost mentioned it earlier, and then I waited too long. Where, solid. He does this a lot when he solos too. It's bending one note to meet another note, but not keeping them entirely in tune on purpose. So in other words, if you're in the key of E, you would fret a high E on the 12th fret or whatever with your first finger, and then bend with your ring finger a D up to an E, and you hold them both, you sustain them both, but you kind of intentionally keep them out of tune so that they rub against each other. If you put them exactly in tune, it'll just kind of sound like one note. But by giving the bent note a little vibrato, it's what gives you that sound of this main riff. All right, here, we're going to hear it again. That's what that is. It's not an effect. It's actually a product of dissonance. It's when the waveforms rub against each other, you get that weird sound. Got some chording going on the bass. Go for it, Noel. Yeah. In 2005, Rolling Stone ranked Are You Experienced 15th on its list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. And it has 4 songs on their list of the 500 greatest songs: Purple Haze, Foxy Lady, Hey Joe, and The Wind Cries Mary.
I think it's neat, too. Mitch Mitchell's other band that he did something with, a band called Ramatam, is also a 3-piece. So he did a lot of stuff with 3-piece. It was him and Mike Panera from Alice Cooper and Iron Butterfly.
Later went on. The guy makes some really good bread.
Panera and Terra bread. And April Lawton on bass. Gender reassignment surgery.
What?
Yeah. This song was performed live less than 10 times. And It was the last time played at the Monterey Pop Festival.
Wow. Interesting. Can you see me? John Cena says absolutely not. Like Wile E. Coyote just got shot into the sky from some crazy contraption. Kind of I enjoy the lyric on this song. It's an interesting thought. I kind of take it as basically, he says, if you can see me, you can see into the future. If you can hear me, then you can hear a train coming from 1,000 miles away. It's kind of like, I almost take it as like, if you can catch what I'm putting down, you're catching the future.
You're way ahead of your time.
Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah. It's just insane to think that he only put out 3 albums. The kind of impact, you know what I mean? I mean, my goodness.
You think anybody else that did as much in as little amount of time as him?
Man.
I'm not going to put these on the same level, but in the Christian music landscape, I would tie him to like the Keith Green.
Yeah.
Because he did it just for a little while and was gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anybody who has burned so brightly over so short a time that made that kind of
Maybe Jim
impact.
Morrison, but not quite to that level.
Gosh, I don't even think so. Follow-up to this album was Bold as Love.
Axis Bold as Love.
Axis Bold as Love, yeah. And sorry, I'm thinking of the song Bold as Love, but had Spanish Castle Magic, Wait Until Tomorrow, Little Wing, If 6 Was 9, Castles Made of Sand. Just,
what's
another...
Watchtower on?
Watchtower must be on.
I know it's a cover because it's not his song.
Right, yeah. It must be a follow-up to that one as well.
While you're looking that up, this song is called Remember. never played live or again in the studio by Jimmy.
This is the one song on this album I can do without.
Only time. Well, this is the only time he ever played it. He never played it live. Never did it live, and he never did it again in the studio or anything. Basic 12-bar blues. Just
sort
kind of, yeah.
But it's got a weird. It's not exactly.
No. Its progression's the same, right?
Yeah. But there's something about it just kind of drones.
Chopped up.
Yeah, see, they're just going to a 5, and then a 4.
And then 1. No. Stays
Yeah.
on.
And then
1. I mean, that's... Yeah, okay, never mind.
It's not, yeah. I feel like this song wasn't finished. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this song needed a round of rewrite.
Yeah.
It just kind of is there. There's not, this is the one just...
Filler.
Yeah. If we weren't all trying to listen together on this one, I would say, let's just skip this one.
Should we go ahead and start talking about Red House since it's next?
I mean, maybe so.
Because there's a lot to cover on it.
Yeah, let me look. Go ahead. We had Electric Ladyland was the follow-up to Axis Bold as Love, yeah. And then Band of Gypsies in 1970 was the last. But Band of Gypsies is that his solo?
Oh, it's another great. It's not a Hendrix Experience.
Right, it's not Hendrix Experience, yeah. Yeah, if you need a drink, you could go ahead and grab one now, I think.
We're about done, guys. Thanks for hanging with us.
I guess I should say, I said earlier he had 3 albums.
He had 3 with the Experience.
He had 3 with the Experience, and then he had 2 others on his own. But he was only performing in the spotlight for 4 years. Like, that's the kind of crazy impact he had.
All right, we're going to talk a lot. I feel like there's a lot to talk about on this song.
Yeah, so this is the closeout to the album. Great one. And this is just a straight 12-bar blues. This is Red House.
It was a nice setup with This Is Red House.
Yeah.
It's in B flat, probably in B, tuned down a half step, wouldn't you think?
I don't know.
It's in B flat.
Nothing wrong with B flat.
We didn't talk about that first chord, the diminished 7.
Yeah.
Something. It's really short for a blues song. It's only 3 minutes and 50 seconds.
Is it really?
Short.
I just never think about it. I always think about it as being a little longer.
Yeah, and this is the one song he didn't ever play a Strat on. Like, he wouldn't play a Strat on this song. He played either a Gibson Flying V or a Gibson SG.
Interesting.
Which is kind of neat.
And see, when I think of blues guitars, I go immediately for a Strat.
Yeah, but this is one this is not a Strat. So, and then that's what made me think, I wonder if that's why it's in B, tuned down a half step, because this was his other guitar. Like, he kept this one tuned down a half step.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Great story in this song. Like, the lyric is just so good. 99 and 1/2 days. Love it.
John Lee Hooker said, Red House will make you grab your mother and choke her.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea, but I believe him.
Is that supposed to be a good thing?
I guess. Oh, the bass on this? Did you hear how they did it? It's Noel Redding plays bass strings on a 6-string guitar.
Really?
Yeah. So this is not a bass guitar. He's
Weird.
playing bass strings on a 6-string guitar.
Why would you do that?
I have no idea.
And how would you have to set up that guitar to avoid the buzz?
Don't ask me. But
Wow. That's really strange.
You sure do.
basically what we've got, this guy hasn't been home to see his baby in 99 and 1.5 days. And he goes home, and something's wrong. His key won't unlock the door. And he's realizing, well, crap, I guess she's gone. And then the last verse is just one of those classic blues turnarounds.
Oh, yeah.
Last verse, he's like, well, if she's not here, if she don't love me no more, I know her sister will.
Yeah.
So we're all good. A lot of flippancy in relationships in great blues songs, That's right. I'm
Over
going
yonder.
Over yonder, way down across the hill.
That's what I'm going to do.
A little note on Band of Gypsies, the album, as I'm just looking at it, I just saw this and never noticed this. The producer of the album, it was a live album. So the producer was Jimmy, but hang on. Bring it home, Jim. Yeah. He was listed as the producer on his album under the name Heaven Research. So, yeah. And there we have it, kids.
That was fun.
Man, that was a lot of fun.
Different vibe than the Sting album that we listened through. Completely.
Definitely. A little more fiery and a little less, like chill jazz.
You didn't
vibes.
drink a coffee with this.
No.
Like a Sting you could put on your coffee. You could even read a book as you were listening to us and smoke your pipe. But here, if you're smoking a pipe, it's a completely different pipe.
Yes, exactly.
And you're not drinking coffee. That's for sure.
Oh, man. Well, we hope you guys have enjoyed listening to Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience. This is so fun. Let us know online what album you want us to listen through next with you.
Or let us know if you even like the album listen through.
Oh, I know you like it.
No, you did because you liked
Seriously,
the Sting one.
I hope you guys enjoy this because honestly, the Sting album is consistently in our most downloaded episodes. So it's had a long shelf life. So I'm assuming that means that people are digging it. So let us know what album you'd like to hear next. We've got some albums in mind, but we'd love to know what you think. It's got to be a great one now. Listen, the standard is high. The bar is really high. If we're going to sit and listen to a long album,
don't throw out Sunday Drive. No,
exactly. Don't be bringing that mess up in here. But let us know. Hit us up on Twitter at Great Song Pod. Check us out on the Facebook community at Great Songs and the Great People Who Love Them Greatly. We got everything going on that you need to know at greatsongpodcast.com. We got merch. You can support the show that way if you want to do it. And just hit us up. Let us know what you're thinking, what songs you want to hear, what albums you'd like to sit through. If you got just cool thoughts about what we're doing or how we can improve the show, what features would you like? Can we add some air conditioning for you? No, in all seriousness, thanks for listening. We're appreciative to everybody.
And we touched on it earlier, but we talked about Cyprus. But thank you guys around the world that listen to us. That's super cool.
Literally.
And if you're in a country other than the United States, send us a message, and we'll find a way to get you a sticker.
Absolutely.
Somehow. That would be
Yes.
so cool to have our sticker in Cyprus on some landmark.
Absolutely, yes. You can, what's that called? You can Banksy some building with our sticker.
There you go.
What's that called when you just
Vandalize?
Vandalize, yeah. Vandalize something with a Great Song Podcast sticker. That'd be awesome. And send us a picture, and then you can get arrested by your local government. So thanks so much for listening. We're going to get out of here. We appreciate it. That's a wrap on Hendrix, man.
And the end of Black History Month.
And the end of Black History Month. Thanks for joining us for our first ever foray into celebrating Black History Month on the pod. We'll probably. I don't see any reason why we couldn't do this again every year. American music is largely Black music. Especially you talking about the original art forms that have become American music. Largely, Black creators are in the origins of it. So we will probably just continue to do this. And then we'll see. We got some good stuff. Listen, you guys don't even know what's coming for the rest of the season.
But we've got some ideas that are not traditional. So,
yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So we'll see you next time. But until then, I'm Rob.
I am JP.
Go listen to some music.